my channel BioGuru. Today in this video we are going to learn about pollination. Now what is pollination? Pollination means the transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma is called as pollination. Right? Here, types of pollination. Three types are there: autogamy, geitonogamy, then xenogamy. So we'll understand one by one. First, autogamy means it is also known as self-fertilization or self-pollination. Right? If the transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma is taking place in the same flower, then it is called as autogamy. What is going to happen in the autogamy? The transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma in the same flower, then it is called as autogamy. Now, in order to take place the autogamy, it requires certain conditions. So what are those? So it requires the closeness of anther and stigma. In order to transfer the pollen grains, the anther and the stigma should lie close to each other. And also it requires synchrony, means the timing of release of pollen grains and the receptivity of the stigma should be same. The plants like viola, which is also known as common pansy, and oxalis and commelina. So these plants are going to produce two types of flowers, namely chasmogamous flower and clistogamous flower. In case of chasmogamous flower, the flowers, they remain open and they are going to expose anther as well as the stigma. So they favor the cross pollination, right? And also for the pollination to take place, they are depending on pollinators, means the agents which transfer the pollen grains. So there are different types of agents are present that we will study. So those are going to carry the pollen grains. It is because the flowers are open and the anther and stigma are exposed. From here the pollen grain should be carried from one flower to the another flower. For that purpose, it requires certain agents. And also to bring the pollen grains from other flower, from other plants to this flower, it requires agents. So that type of pollination is favored by chasmogamous flower. So overall, chasmogamous flower means open flowers having exposed anther and stigma. Another type of flower here is clistogamous. Clistos means here closed. Means the flower, they never going to open. They remain closed only. They remain in the closed condition. So because of that, what is going to happen? The anther and stigma are not exposed to outside as compared to that of chasmogamous flower. Chasmogamous flower are open flower. Clistogamous flower are closed flower. Now, flowers having, the plants having this type of flower has got their own advantages and disadvantages. So what are those? Let us study. So the advantages and disadvantages of clistogamous flower. First, let us have a look at the advantages. Here in case of clistogamous flower, pollination and seed set. After pollination, the fertilization is going to take place, and obviously inside the the flowers, means in female reproductive organ, in the ovary, the seeds are produced after fertilization. Fertilization takes place only after the pollination, right? So here the pollination is guaranteed, assured. When the pollination is assured, obviously the seed sets are also assured. In case of clistogamous flower, it is because their own pollen grains are transferred to their own stigma. Clear? And for this purpose, they do not require pollinators. They don't require pollinators. They don't require agents to transfer the pollen grains, because in clistogamous flower, first of all, they are closed, and the pollen grains and stigma, they lie close to each other. So because of that, the transfer is going to take place easily. So here it is not depending on pollinators. So these are the advantages of having clistogamous flower. Now what are those disadvantages? Let us see. So clistogamous flower, because there is a self-pollination, it leads to a condition that is called as inbreeding depression. So when there is a continuous self-pollination, that means when there is a transfer of pollen grains in the same flower for several generations, that leads to a condition that is called as inbreeding depression. Means they are going to lose their biological fitness in future. Also, they are going to lose their reproductive capacity. So they will come in the edge of extinction. And also, because the same pollen grains are transferred to the same flower, so same genes, same characters are transferred to the next generation. So there is no genetic variations. No genetic variations are created in the Clistogamous flower. Same characters are transferred to the next generation. If the same characters are transferred to the next generation, after certain period of time, they may not survive in that particular condition. In order to survive, they need to adapt. They may lose because of the continuous self-pollination. When there is a transfer of same characters, in future they may not able to adapt to the changing environment. So eventually there is a threat to their survival. So disadvantage. What is that? First of all, inbreeding depression, and there is no genetic variation. Remember always, in order to survive on this planet Earth, organism need to bring genetic variations. So moving to the next one, that is geitonogamy. So in geitonogamy, there is a transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma, but of different flower. Here you can see the pollen grains are transferred from one flower to the another flower, from anther to the stigma of another flower. But here, now let us study about the geitonogamy. In this type of pollination, there is a transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma. But here, the stigma is belonging to the different flower. Here you can see this arrow mark. There is a transfer of pollen grains from one flower to the stigma of another flower. Is that clear? Here, two different flowers are there, but they are belonging to the same plant. They are belonging to the same plant. So because of that, this type of pollination is called as what? Geitonogamy. The transfer of pollen grains from anther of one flower to the stigma of another flower belonging to the same plant is called as geitonogamy. As there is a transfer of pollen grains in the same plant, so here geitonogamy is said to be genetically similar to the autogamy. In case of autogamy, what is going to happen? The pollen grains are transferring in the same flower, but here the pollen grains are transferred to the another flower but belonging to the same plant. Because of that, geitonogamy is genetically similar to the autogamy. Right? The flower is different but plant is same. And this type of pollination require agents. Which agents? Pollinating agents. So moving to the next one, that is in xenogamy, the transfer of pollen grains from one flower to the stigma of another flower belonging to the two different plants. Here the transfer of pollen grains is taking place between two different plants and two different flowers. So this type of pollination is called as what? Xenogamy. Now, what is the advantage of this type of pollination, that is xenogamy? It is going to create genetic variation because here the transfer is taking place from two different plants. That means the stigma is going to receive the pollen grains of different species, of different plants. So it brings the pollen grains, different types of pollen grains. So because of that, the genetic variations are created. Now let us study about the agents of pollination. So what are the agents? Abiotic agents and biotic agents, means non-living agents and living agents. So we'll see what are the non-living agents. That means abiotic agents include air and water. If the pollination is taking place through by air, then it is called as anemophily. If the pollination takes place through by water, then it is called as hydrophily. Now, biological or biotic agent includes insects. If the pollination is taking place through by insect, then it is called as entomophily. Also, the pollination is taking place through by bats, are called as chiropterophily. If the pollination is taking place through by the snail, is called as malacophily. If the pollination is taking place through by birds, is called as ornithophily. So here the insects, bats, snails, birds are the biotic agent, whereas air and water, they are abiotic agent. Pollination by wind, anemophily. Pollination by wind is called as anemophily. So here, if you look at the characteristics of the flower, which are pollinating through by wind, they are having well exposed stamen and large and feathery stigma. Here you can see well exposed stamens and large and feathery stigma is present, right? And the pollen grains should be light and non-sticky in case of the flowers which are wind pollinated. And also the flowers here are colorless, odorless, means they are not having any kind of the smell, and often having single ovule in the ovary. In their ovary they possess only single ovule. So the numerous flowers are packed in an inflorescence. If you see the flowers which are wind pollinated, they are packed, they are grouped together, right, in the form of inflorescence. So here you can see the example of corn cob. Here the tassels, the hair-like structures, what you see in corn cob, they are nothing but the stigma and styles, right, which waves in the air in order to receive the pollen grains which are present in the air. Clear? Now, this type of pollination is common in case of grass. Moving to the next one. Pollination by water is called as hydrophily. So hydrophily is said to be the rare in flowering plants. Except some freshwater plants like Vallisneria, which is also called as tape grass, and Hydrilla. So Vallisneria and Hydrilla, they are freshwater plants, and there are some marine sea grasses like Zostera. These plants are going to show hydrophily. Only few are there. So because of that, this type of pollination, that is hydrophily, is rare in flowering plants. So we'll see one by one how the pollination is going to take place in Vallisneria and in Zostera. So here the flowers are not very colorful and do not produce nectar and fragrance. Here in case of Vallisneria, which is a freshwater plant, the female flower is taken to the surface of water by the long stalk. The female flower reaches the surface of water. Because of what? Because of the long stalk. Because of that, the male flowers or the pollen grains release on the surface of water and they are carried on water by passively. So, on the way, if they come across the female flower, then the pollination is going to take place. Is that clear? In Vallisneria, the flowers are taken on the surface of or to the surface of water because of the long stalk, and the male flowers are released on because the female flowers towards the surface of water. So because of that, the male flowers or the pollen grains are released on the surface of water. In case of Zostera, right, the flowers are submerged in the water. The flowers, female flowers, are submerged in the water. So because of that, the pollen grains are also released inside the water. Right? In case of Zostera, the pollen grains are long, ribbon-like. So here, pollen grains in most aquatic plants are protected from wetting by mucilaginous covering. So because of this covering, they are very well protected from the water and helps in the successful pollination. Majority of the hydrophytes like water hyacinth and water lily, they are going to produce flowers above the surface of water. Here you can see the flowers are produced above the surface of water. So because of this, though they are hydrophytes, they are growing in the water, but they are not depending on water for pollination. Here the flowers, they are colorful and they are large, and they are going to produce the nectar. They are also going to produce the fragrance in order to attract insects, or they may also depend on the wind for the pollination. But majority of the aquatic plants, though they are aquatic plants, they are growing in the water, but they are not using water as a pollinating agent. Is that clear? Only few we have seen the example like Vallisneria, Zoostera and Hydrilla. Because of that, water pollination, hydrophily, is rare in flowering plants. Moving to the next one, that is pollination by animals, is called as zoophily. The plant commonly uses butterflies, bees and wasps for their pollination. Most of the insect pollinated flowers are large, colorful, fragrant and contain nectar to attract the animal pollinator, and these are called as floral rewards. Floral rewards includes nectar and pollen, because the insects are carrying the pollen grains from one flower to the another flower. So because of that, they are getting some rewards like nectar and pollen. The reward could be in the form of providing safe place to lay eggs. Say for example, the tallest flower around, it is a 6 feet, it is of Amorphophallus, right? So this flower is going to provide the safe place to lay eggs. So in turn, the insects, they are going to pollinate the flowers. So there is a symbiotic association between Yucca and its pollinator Pronotum moth. Here the moth is going to lay the eggs inside the ovary. In turn, insect is going to pollinate the flower. Here the pollen grains are sticky and get stuck to the body of pollinators. Some of the flowers pollinated by the flies and beetles secrete fall odor. Fall odor means very bad smell, to attract these animals. Some of the common pollinating agents are butterflies, bees, wasps, ants, moths and birds, and even the bats. In some rare cases, lemur, arboreal rodents and reptiles have also been seen as a pollinating agents. Now let us study about the outbreeding devices. Now what are these outbreeding devices? So these are the methods to prevent the self-pollination. The plants, they develop some of the methods to prevent the self-pollination. Why to prevent the self-pollination? It is because continuous self-pollination leads to a condition that is called as inbreeding devices. Now, what are those methods? Let us see. Here the dicliny means unisexuality, then dichogamy, then self-sterility or self-incompatibility, then heterostyle. So we will see one by one. Here dicliny means unisexuality. So here the plants are going to produce unisexual flowers. Unisexual flower means a flower containing either male reproductive organ or female reproductive organ. So here the flowers are two types, male flowers and female flowers. So because of that, self-pollination is prevented by producing two different flowers, means male flower as well as female flower. Two different flowers are produced. So such method is called as dicliny or unisexuality. Here the flowers are unisexual flowers. Example includes maize, mulberry, papaya. Next device is self-sterility or self-incompatibility. Pollen grains of same flower are incapable of growing over the stigma of the same flower, right? Here the stigma is having certain self-sterile genes. Say for example, here self-sterile gene S1 and S2. if the pollen grain is also having the same gene from where it is coming from the same flower, right? So because of that, the pollen grains of having the same genes are not allowed to germinate on the stigma. So it is going to prevent, if the stigma is going to detect the same genes, here S1 and S2, if the pollen grains is having either S1 or S2 get deposited on the stigma, they are not going to germinate. So it will allow only the pollen grains having different genes. Here S1 and S2, that means it is not going to allow to germinate this particular pollen grain having S1 gene, whereas here the pollen grain is having different gene, that is S3. Here the stigma is having S1 and S2, but here the pollen grain is having different. So hence the stigma is going to allow this pollen grains, because it is having different gene, to germinate. Because it is carrying different gene, it is allowed to germinate. So this is going to favor the cross pollination, and it is going to prevent the self pollination. Here in this case also you can see the pollen grains is having S3 and S4 genes, but here the stigma is having S1 and S2. Different genes are there, so hence both the pollen grains are allowed to germinate. So this type of device is called as self sterility or self incompatibility, where the pollen grains of the same flowers are not allowed to germinate because of certain self sterile genes. Examples here includes tobacco, potato, and some crucifers. So the next method is dichogamy, right? In dichogamy, anther and stigma, they are going to mature at different times. Why? If the flower is having both the sex organ, male as well as the female, that is androecium and gynoecium, at that time there are high chances of self pollination, right? So in order to prevent that one, the plants have developed this method, that is dichogamy, where the maturity of anther and stigma is different, timing is different. If anther matures before the stigma, then it is called as protandry. Then if stigma matures earlier than the anther, then it is called as protogyny. So overall there is a difference in the timing of maturation of stigma and anther. The synchrony is different. Clear? So because of this, it is going to prevent the self pollination. So such method is seen in sunflower, rose, and mirabilis. So here in case of heterostyle, the flowers are having different heights of styles and stamens. Such kind of method is seen where the flowers are bisexual. Once again, if there are both androecium and gynoecium in the same flower, at that time they may show the different length in their the style and the filaments. So having the different heights of these structures, they may prevent self pollination up to some extent. That's it for today. Hope you found this video useful. If so, hit like button, share this video with your friends, classmates. If you're a teacher, share this video with your colleagues. I will see you in my next video.